is the purpose of this workshop? We would like to share with you a workable framework that actively supports student opportunities and maximizes student opportunities within the framework of your school, and also to develop and maximize gifted skills and academic or other in your student body. Now, it is a common observation through many studies that has been placed. It is inevitable that you will find within your school framework 2 to 3% of children falling under this gifted category. Now, what is the difference? What do we do about this? When we took up the GEMS innovation program of setting up a gifted and talented innovation setup, we came up with a gifted and talented policy. Now, it basically talks about 3 stages. First was to embed a talent curriculum within the framework of the working curriculum. Now, what do we talk about? This is practically the second stage which we are doing now, which is the second phase of it. But the first phase of what we did was we set up a challenge program, which was an extracurricular program that ran 4 sessions a month. And this was for those selected students, which I will talk to you about how we did our selections for. The second stage of that was to provide for the learning skills. See, gifted and talented, again, this is just a framework which I'm sharing with you. I will show you how they're different and why they're so important. Not yet, sweetie, just can you go back? Yeah. And the display of, so we provide for the learning skills, and then ultimately we give them a platform on which they can display their enhanced skills to enrich the others that are there in the school. We're talking about different paces of learning. We're talking about different innovative learning methodologies. We're talking about children who think differently. And that is celebrated in a school working system. Have you seen this before? Yes? Ladies and gentlemen, this is your classroom. This is your classroom. And this is the basis of why we are here today and why we are so concerned. We have all sorts of children in the same classroom, but we give them the same task. Now, a monkey will succeed in climbing the tree, but what about an elephant? It's not possible. But then, do we say the elephant is not a good student? You see, so that is the focal point of what we are working for here. Move to the next slide. Right. The identification of gifted students. Before this, can you please escape and can you play that video, please? I have a short video clip for you. This video clip actually, for me personally, and I think for my colleague Priyanka, by the way, she'll be presenting with me, this video opened my eyes. So please allow me to share it with you. みんなの心に浮かんだことをそのまま書けばいいんだからね。Get the lights, please. Just because a child does something differently, is that child not fitting into a society? Does not fit into a classroom? Is there anything such as a weak child? My firm belief is no. There isn't. It is we as teachers, as educators, who have to use our imagination. We have to. We have to give allowance to such children. How do you identify? Sometimes, just like the video, it's that easy or that difficult. What you've seen is a time-lapse video. The child goes through counseling, the child goes to a doctor, the child goes everywhere, where it just takes one teacher to fill that gap. And all the child did was meet the challenge. And did anyone get the chance to see what the challenge was? draw anything you want. That's exactly what the child did. But unbelievably, isn't it? So this is how important what we do in our school is, and we are a very dedicated team in doing this. How does it all begin? First and foremost, listen to the children. Every teacher needs to take a time out to listen to your children. They are gossipers. They talk. They love to brag. They love to point the finger. Mom, he's doing something differently. Put your antennas up. Watch and learn. You might find that a child who is a naughty child, who is a brash child, who is a loud child, might be doing mathematical symbols in his head. A child who is quiet, doesn't speak, doesn't talk, doesn't like to be part of any group activity, could be a child who is creating a Picasso in his head. A child who never pays attention, is always scribbling something in the book. How many of us have taken a chance to go and see what those children do? I have found my calligraphers there. I have found shared geniuses there. I have found artists there. And one such child is now involved in the heritage program for Dubai Heritage Society. So what do? We listen to the children. Then next stage is parents. The parents come there and they love to talk about their children. So that's another reference point. Once or twice, we get the information. And then we say, okay, there may be something there. We immediately refer to the child to the counselor or the parent to the counselor, and the investigation begins. When we talk about gifted, it's basically we're talking about academic gifted, okay? When we talk about gifted, we talk about academics. When we talk about talented, we talk about the other things, okay? Now, for gifted, your root point will be your class teacher, who has the evaluative record of the child, and also the subject teachers. I would like to stress here that it's not always that a gifted child should be 100% in everything. That's a common misconception. It doesn't work that way. I've discussed this and I've said this so many times. If I had that program in my school when I was in school, probably they would have discovered why I'm so bad at maths. Because I'm a linguist. I can speak 7 languages. I pick up languages like that. That's my skill, right? So it is common, it is actually another study which is going on which talks about there may be a child who's very skilled in maths. There will be fractions of skill in chemistry and physics, but maybe weak in biology. And then you have a child who loves languages and speaks run a mile, but fails in maths. It's not necessary that they have to be everywhere. So this team, the class teachers team and the subject team, is absolutely essential for the identification process. That goes to the sectional head. Then the sectional head meets up with the team. We make up the SLT team, and that consists of the sectional head, the school counselor, which her role here is prime, because she does a lot of assessment process. She's qualified to do that. I'm the talent coordinator. I come up with the background and the working of it. And then, of course, the senior leadership team, which we all back on for decision-making power. These are the features by which we do it. This is just the scriptural representation of what I showed you graphically. It's again the talent identification in schools through parent nomination. We have a parent nomination form. When a child comes in, they fill in that form. Where do you think your child is talented? What does he like to do? Where does he show a skill? Then we have my child can dance, my child can play a guitar. We know how to categorize those things, being who we are. Teacher recommendations, and then of course, senior management recommendations. Sometimes we teachers are so busy, the senior management might pick on, hey, who was that child? You know, so everyone works together as a team. Step 2 is absolutely essential. This is the school counselor's evaluation. Priyanka, would you like to speak about this a little bit?
So as ma'am just mentioned, after the identification, the parents, the teachers, and the gifted and talented coordinator, which happens to be Ramapriya ma'am, They send in these students who they think fit into the gifted and talented criteria. And then we have a set of standardized tests. One common test to identify gifted students, as she mentioned, is mostly to do with academics, is through IQ tests. And they say that if a child has an IQ of 130 and above, that child is gifted. So the best way, if you are planning to start a gifted and talented program in your school, is to conduct IQ tests and identify those students who fall within the IQ range of 130 and above. And then you know for a fact that they are gifted when it comes to academics. In our school, the way we encourage talented students is we have competitions. So we have competitions wherein we have dance, art, music, and that is where the talent comes out. And that is something which after the talent coordinator, which is Ramapriya ma'am, which is her brainchild, she said every section needs to have music, dance, and art period so that we can identify these students in a more effective manner.
Once the identification is made, then we have also, through our process, discovered that we have very fast-paced gifted, we have the middle-paced gifted. Even among them, there are differentiations. So we put them in 3 levels when we've offered the Gifted and Challenge, the Challenge program in our school. We call it the Challenge program, and it operated on 3 pace levels. That itself operated on 3 pace levels. Of course, there's a core teacher. In our case, it is the heads of the department which are really spearheading the academic part of it. They're creating the structure, they're advancing it. Our initial pet projects were in English and maths, which have been very, very successful and still going on strong. We've just paused it for the academic exams now, but then it's coming back. And the talent set we leave to the house mistresses and house masters, because as they go through the extracurricular activities, you know, they get picked out by these people and referred back to us. Step 4, long-term establishment. Now that's where we are, because we've been successfully running this challenge program for about a year now, and now we're doing a very intensive feasibility study on how to actually inculcate an advanced level program within the curriculum and whether that will be feasible in the infrastructure that we have. But ultimately, that is our viewpoint, that is where we are going. And we also want to spread it across not just maths and English, we're looking to spread it across other subjects as well. Gifted students. Now this comes to the fun part. We're done with the boring part. You have these in every classroom. These are your children. You have the above average ability. This is what we commonly call the HA learners. You have the creative ones. These are the ones that teachers bank on in the classroom to put up the boards, to create the art corner, to inspire other children, to take leadership as far as creativity is concerned. If we have an intracurricular activity going on, it's these kids that thrive. And then we have task commitment. We have the soldiers in the classroom. You give them a task, bam, it's done. You can depend on them for eyes closed. They don't fall under this. There are a few that will display multiple, that you will have your average learner and creative one. That's the brown part, and the colors are not very clear, but then that's the brown part. Then you have a mix of this, and then you have a mix of that. In the center, you have some children who absolutely can do everything, and that's where the gifted lies. They're creative, they are above average learners, and they are task completers. Within the school, we can recognize that students can be good all-rounders, high achievers in one area, that's what I spoke about just a few minutes ago, please welcome, and of course, high ability, but poor writing skills. Can anyone in this room tell me why that is? Number 3. Anyone? How do you go by that? Let's come simpler. The mind is faster than the hand. Absolutely. Absolutely. The mind is faster. The mind goes way faster, and that's what you have when you have your naughty child. The child is bored. You give a task, it's done already, and it's done in the mind. It may not be done on paper, but it's done on the mind. And if you've noticed, when we bring IT to our schools, we have these children shining. They're doing all kinds of stuff. My kids know more about IT than I do. And I'm banking on her. In fact, I was attending one workshop, and this is a student of mine, Alina. She'll be speaking to us a little later. I leaned over and I said, baby, what's that? You know, they know more than we do. And that's why they thrive, and that's why we celebrate the IT innovation in the schools as well. Sen. Now again, I'll hand over to my colleague, because funnily enough, we parallel this department. And she will talk to you why.
So as Ramapriya ma'am has just mentioned, that it's very difficult to identify students who are gifted and talented. And most commonly, we leave out a particular group. And that group consists of students who have difficulties when it comes to physical, emotional, or learning difficulties. Now, these students generally are hidden, and we need to find out. And how do we find out? Now, there was a researcher by the name of Nick Colanja, and he conducted a study with teachers and with parents. And he asked them, can you visualize a gifted child for me? None of them could visualize a child who had learning difficulties. And even after he mentioned that, yes, the students who have special educational needs can be talented and gifted, they were not ready to accept it. But as a matter of fact, it has been said by the National Association for Gifted Children that around 2 to 5% of the special education needs students are in fact identified as gifted. And conversely, 5 to 10% of the talented students are identified to have special educational needs. As ma'am just mentioned, some of them have poor writing skills, and due to which we identify them or we categorize them as somebody who has dyslexia. So that is a special need, and we need to look into that. Now, according to the British Psychological Society, and I will stick to the terms which they have used, they call it as dual or multiple exceptionalities. So these students are exceptional in one area, but they are lagging behind in other areas as well. So just because a child has learning, physical, or emotional difficulties does not mean that they're not good in other areas. And this is where our role comes in. We as educators need to always focus on strengths. Now I can just talk for our school, which is GEMS, our own Indian school. We always focus on the strengths of the child. So when a child is referred to us, when a child is identified, we always speak to the parents or the teachers or the child himself as to what is the best thing that they like to do. What, according to them, is their strength, and that is where we go ahead and work with them. And that is a good way to work with. Like, definitely Alina does not have any special educational needs, but we identified her, a teacher I do, and she said, I really like something to do with stars. I love astronomy, and that is how we discovered her. So she will speak to you in a bit, but for now, I would just like to conclude by saying the students who have special educational needs and who are commonly identified as gifted are the ones who have Asperger's syndrome, so they fall under the autistic area, the ones who have ADD, the ones who have attention difficulties, the ones who have ADHD, which is to do with hyperactivity, and the ones who have speech and language delay. So these 4 categories of special educational needs are commonly identified to also be gifted. Now I'd like to pass on the mic to, sorry, just a minute. And also how we help them in our school is, we have an individual educational plan. So this is the way how we include them in our class. We like to challenge our students because obviously they are a notch above the rest of the students. So whatever is being taught in class, they're very frustrated, they're very bored because obviously they know more than what is being taught. So one way to actually include them within the classroom setting is to give them worksheet which is of their level. Challenge them more. These are differentiated
And for the
worksheets.
gifted, it will be that one level more up. So instead of 3 worksheets, you will have 4. And you will challenge them even on a higher level. We do that.
We do that, and we have a student who is in grade 3, and he has Asperger's syndrome. He has an IQ of 135. He is truly gifted. He is brilliant in maths, and we recently had a math quiz, and we gave him, instead of a grade 3 level, we gave him a grade 5 level, grade 7 level worksheet. And despite that, he was one of the students who came first in the math quiz than the rest of the students who were given a grade 3 worksheet. So he was challenged, he loved it, and he was not bored. So we catered to his need. Also we involved, yeah.
You give the child all the 4 worksheets or do you start at the second or the third?
No, it's just an example which she mentioned, yeah.
Let's say in a class there's
Yeah.
one child. You can give him one level higher.
Yes.
You start him at the lowest level or you start him at you need not start him
See,
at
for
the
a
lowest
gifted child, how it works is, I love your question, thank you so much. He doesn't need the ABCs anymore. He knows that stuff. He even knows what's A plus B plus C. He needs it XYZ. That's what we cater to. And that comes when we are, it takes about maybe a couple of months or even till the first formative assessment to actually place these children. It takes time because the mind is a mind-boggling thing. You can't really solve it in an instant. You might have the danger of a wrong diagnosis, which is wrong for us to do. So we do take our time
Yeah.
to do this. But when we do identify it, we are running a special program for them. It's an advanced level challenge program that we talk about. It runs in our school. We've dedicated to English and maths right now, but we're planning to expand it to other subjects and other levels as well. Right now we're doing it in the middle school from grades 5 to 8 for select students. We have about, out of approximate strength of 600 students, we have isolated 140 students. So they're all part of it, either in maths or in English. It could be separated across the board, but then, or in both. But then we cater to them on those levels right now. Okay? Yeah. Next slide, please.
Excuse me, I have one question.
Yes.
If a person of a 5th grade child, he can do a 8th grade mathematics examination. As he said, Asperger syndrome child can show most of them, but may not be good in the English, so to say. Now, in the class, surely he can take the maths worksheet as a challenging that can be given to him. In the English, probably a low level we have to give.
Obviously, yes.
But when we are giving them a challenging program, how the CBSE rules or the
What we do now does not come as part of the examination criteria. This is just to build the confidence and the working ability of the child. Now, how does it translate into the CBSE curriculum? Interesting question. These children come back to class. And what these children do is, they take the methodologies they learn in the challenge program, they take that confidence and they teach. I have my challenged children teaching. They teach. They say, why not? Why can't we do it this way? We've been taught this formula. Hey guys, you know what? I found out this. Try that. And other children are saying, oh yeah, why not? And what better to teach child than through a child? Isn't it? It translates better. They speak the same language. There is no ego there. There is no power there. So even the shy ones are asking questions. That's how we filter them down back into the curriculum. Yes, coming back into the curriculum. But then when they are separate, we challenge them way above the level. Alina will speak to you. You'll get to know more about that. Okay, the route map so far. Can you click it? Is it not playing? Yeah. This is what we did. When the innovations came up, the SL team came up with people who could, me and the SL team, and we started training our staff into the identification of gifted and talented. That's a separate workshop all in itself. And then we start giving them accommodations. That's where you talk about differentiation, you talk about the 4th level, you talk about supporting them within the class structure. We talked about teaching strategies that they can use in the curriculum itself. And then, of course, we created that core team, which then took on the challenge program, which started almost immediately. This time, in 2013-14, we have a student advisory group where students come in and translate back into their learning. We have increased opportunities for students to display their talent, and since January, the challenge program is absolute celebration time for that. Then go ahead, sweetheart. Yeah. Now we are planning in 2014, we're entering into a new year, so we're sort of spreading it more. We are starting to take in grade 3s as well this year, and we're going to be spreading it a little bit more and try and do it for a little bit more subjects as well, as far as the calendar accepts it. 2014-2015, secondary level training for teachers as far as gifted and talented in classrooms is concerned. Tiered subjects, this is what I spoke to you about. This is under a feasibility study right now. We're talking about 2 classes, just like children move around for English, maths, and French in their schools. They move around to different classes. I have put forth the suggestion that we have an advanced level maths. We're starting with maths, 2 classes for maths, where the gifted go to 1 class, and this fits within the curriculum, teaching the same thing but on the higher level. And then, of course, ICT advisory group continues. Student SLT, which is, of course, spearheaded right now. Alina is one of the core members. She is taking workshops. She is part of the advisory group. And then, of course, intracurricular provisions within English for such provisions. Other subjects, like I said, is going to be coming in for the gifted. Next one. A few photographs for you to see what we're all about. Yes?
And there are 3 tiers where they go to different classes according to the level they are in.
Okay.
Every time we move a kid up or move a kid down, we have also parental pressure to put them in that place.
I understand that. But then you see, we do have sessions where we sit with the parents, and that's where Priyanka's job comes in core.
Do you have online tests available in that?
Yes. Yeah.
I was asking how reliable have you found them? How accurate?
I will not be at a position to put a percentage on that right now, but then what we've learned through trial
It's
and error, what we've decided, what we found is, it's always better for us to take a kaleidoscope of these things and develop our own identification process which suits our students and our working platform.
Yeah, sure.
So,
but in terms of getting to the IQ of 130 or more,
no. Then I would not suggest that. If you want like a 100% result, just stick to the standardized IQ tests, which I'm sure the counselor would have. Yeah.
yeah.
Any other questions? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, just a minute, please. I'm not here. Yes.
What are your findings as regards children? Where you find that, like what she also said, she's very much interested in maths, so they would do very well in maths. But what is their academic record in all the others?
High to immediate. High to, like I said,
Oh yes.
you will find these variances.
Yeah.
Calculate that is a percentage of what, how
So that is done by the counselors themselves. So they would know how to score it. So for each question, they would have a score, and the total score will come in these numbers. So it starts off from a good 90, and it goes on till above. Yeah, no, she will not make. There's an IQ test already, which is a standardized IQ test. Yeah. So then she needs to get it. Sorry, ma'am?
Wechsler,
Yeah. Yes.
these questions are there.
Yes. My name is Priyanka Rawat. Priyanka Rawat. RAWAT. Yeah. GEMS, our own Indian school.
can we have your mobile number?
Yeah.
Indian school?
Indian. I can share my extension if that's okay. So the school's number is 339-1188, and my extension is 257.
You will be available.
Yeah, I'm there till 4. So from morning to
And actually, I'm also counselor for
Okay.
Indian Model School.
Okay, ma'am.
Some of the IQ tests are not there.
Yeah.
So how do you